Anyone know who he is? Superman. We all remember Christopher Reeves, the Superman. Our beloved character, the one that was so powerful. Superman. Strongest man in the world. All power. But in 1995, he suffered a fall and severed his spinal cord. And that Superman that everybody loved, the movies were jam-packed, had some of the highest ratings of turnout. That day, it just put an end to Superman. And even while he lived, there was not another Superman movie made in deference to him. He tells the story in his memoir of how he and his mother was trying to decide what to do. And he whispered to his wife and said, maybe you should let me go on. And his wife whispered back to him and said, I fell in love with you. I'm in this for the long haul. You are the same you, and I love you. And with that, for the next several years, began the burden that I'm sure that his wife never knew would ever happen. The subject today again is court is in session, love on trial. In our lives, well, first of all, let me say this. In this particular text, it's very similar to what happened in the day of Christopher Reeves. Back in that time, the country called actually Rome was a big city, and Christians had become part of that city, and the church was growing so until Paul decided to write a letter because an issue came up. That issue was that there were white people, black people, and I'm paraphrasing, but the point is there were a very mixed crowd. And when that happened, as you can imagine, division arose. Now, how many know that whenever the Lord starts moving, it seems like the devil starts moving too? Huh? Yes, yes. And the church's fame had grown so much until they were being taught all over the world about how strong that Christian church was. But then all of a sudden, because of the culture, because of race, a division rose. And all of a sudden, love is on trial. Paul writes the letter to them, letting them know. Opens up the letter saying, who shall bring a charge against you? Think about it. After what Christ has done, I'm going to read this verse. After what Christ has done, what then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how can he not graciously give us all things? Who will bring any charge against those whom God has chosen? It is God who justifies. After Christ has died for us, now the question is, who's going to charge it? Do you think Christ is going to look back now and say, I don't like you. You're stink in my nostrils. You're doing hypocritical work. You're just a phony. Do you think Christ is going to be the one that condemns you and say, I saw you last night sinning. I saw you last night falling down, acting like you were going on the straight and rugged path whenever indeed you're being hypocritical. Do you think God is going to be the one that condemns you? No. Why? Why? You know why? Because first of all, Christ himself saw you weren't perfect. I wasn't perfect. He himself took the time out to die for each of us. And now that he has gone to the cross, do you think he is going to make his blood in effect? None effect? Do you think he will now start accusing you after he has died for you, given his life for you? Do you think now he's going to say, they ain't no good. They're just a bunch of people. Everybody's talking about them. Oh, they're just nothing but a sham. They're nothing to be admired. Do you know God is not going to do that? Do you know why? Because he's the one that is defending you. And my first point is this. Who's bringing a charge against you? The point is this. God cannot, or Jesus cannot bring a charge against you. Because he's the one that has died for you. What does that mean then? Well, it means this. Sometimes it looks like you're doing the very best you can. And it's still like things are not happening right. Things are not falling in place. I'm not moving like I thought I was going to move. And you start wondering, Lord, do you care? Lord, do you see me? Do you know what I'm going through? And Satan, now this is what I want you to know. Who's accusing you? It's not Jesus. It's not God. Your accuser is Satan. He is the one that will talk to you. You know what you did. You know what you said. You know where you went. You know it's not real. You know that if God was to come back now, you would be lost. You know it. That is Satan's job. His job is to condemn you. His job is to make you feel so ashamed of yourself until you say, I can't do this. I tried, and Lord, I don't know whether you're with me or not. I don't know whether you saved me or not. I just don't know. I try one step, I make one step, and I move 2 steps back. I just don't know, Lord. And so that's right. That's right, God. You ain't doing nothing. And then you start feeling so guilty. The Lord is saying, I'm not condemning you. Do you remember the lady that all of a sudden they brought before Jesus, hauled her into a makeshift court, and they just stopped him. He's teaching and said, Master, we caught this lady right in the act. What you going to do? Here's what the law says. The law says she should be stoned. What do you say? Big mistake. Big mistake. You thought Jesus was going to condemn this lady. This lady, oh my Lord. So here's what the Lord says. Because, they thought they had him. If he says that, oh, you got to let her go, then it's, oh, you're not keeping the law. If they say that, oh, yeah, go ahead and stone her, then, yeah, you're a cruel person and there's no salvation. So what are you preaching about anyway? So you know what he did? Because he said, I came not to condemn the law, but to fulfill the law. So he says, listen, yeah, you're right. And I'm paraphrasing. She's supposed to be stoned to death. She sinned. She was caught in the act of adultery. The one that's without sin, you cast the first stone. And everybody else can follow. But whoever hasn't sinned, go ahead and stone her. You cast the first stone, and I'm sure